Hello and welcome to It's Not So Lonely at the Top podcast. This is a podcast for business leaders and business owners just like you. We're going to be sharing top tips on how to develop yourself personally and professionally. I'm going to be sharing updated podcasts on a regular basis, so please do make sure you subscribe, and I really hope you enjoy today's podcast. Jordan Butler is the founder and face of JHB Tattoo Removal, a Peterborough-based specialist clinic where he has spent the last 15 years helping people reclaim their skin with expert laser tattoo removal. He comes from a lineage of ink. His father was tattooing since the 1970s, and Jordan himself has been immersed in the tattoo world for 20 years, giving him a rare and multi-generational perspective on both the removal and tattooing. His journey is also one of strategic reinvestment and growth. He sold his original laser for £8,000 and just 3 years later has built a suite of industry-leading equipment which is now valued at over £250,000 and underscores both his confidence in the technology and his commitment to delivering superior results. As an owner and lead laser technician, he blends deep technical expertise with a client-centered ethos. I'm really delighted to have Jordan join me today on the It's Not So Lonely at the Top podcast. I really hope you enjoy our interview. Thank you. Jordan, welcome to the It's Not So Lonely at the Top podcast. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on the podcast.
Yeah, cheers for having me, mate. I appreciate you asking me to come on.
I really appreciate you coming. And you know, you're a massive star, mate, BBC and various others. So I'm feeling the pressure today. I think it's going to be really interesting for our audience to learn more about you and your background and about laser removal and those things, which is going to be absolutely fantastic. So the first thing I wanted to pick up on was, very interestingly, we've got businesses with the same name.
Yeah, I noticed that as well.
Which is really cool, right? So so for the listeners, Jordan's tattoo business, his tattoo studio is the right terminology. Yep. Your tattoo studio is called Flagship Tattoo, based in Peterborough.
Yep.
So tell me about how that came about.
So to be honest, I think we were in a little bit of a rush and we started thinking of traditional tattoo designs.
Okay.
You'll find a few out there called like tiger tattoo or, you know, other things like that are synonymous with tattooing.
Okay.
Me and my business partner, we both have two big like clipper ships, you know, the old school pirate ship sort of thing tattooed on us. So it kind of came from that. And with it being Flagship, we wanted it to be the best shop that it could be.
Nice.
Best in town. So we thought we'll call it the Flagship. First in class, you know?
I love that. I love that. Okay, that's really cool. So Flagship Partners, so Flagship for me came about because we did a lot of stuff in transport with vehicles. And the flagship vehicle was always like the best vehicle. It was the most beautiful. It was the most dependable, the most valuable thing. So yeah, similar sort of thing. Rather than ships, but ours was vehicle based. So yeah, fascinating. So Flagship Tattoo, and then also you've got JHB Tattoo Removal as well. So some people might skeptically think on the one hand you've got a business tattooing people, and then the next like taking them away.
Yeah, definitely. I always get that, especially with my dad being a tattooer as well. My dad's tattooed since the 70s. So I have removed a couple of tattoos that he did in Hunstanton during his stint there at the fairground. But yeah, it's great, to be fair. I've always worked in tattooing. I've been in it for 20 years now. And I've been doing tattoo removal for 15 years.
Sure.
So I always wanted it to feel like the laser was part of tattooing. When I first started doing it, it was a very medical thing, very cosmetic, you know, very shiny and clean. And I wanted to keep a level of that, but keep it more natural feeling as well, a bit more comfortable for maybe people that didn't feel so comfortable in those kind of environments. Sure. So I've always kind of lent into that. And it's just grown and grown and grown, to be fair, but I've always managed to keep it alongside tattooing.
Yeah, and so I was going to say, so you built JHB Tattoo Removal from a small rented room in Norfolk to one of the UK's most trusted clinics. And looking back, what was the turning point that made you believe it could become something so big?
So it's a bit of a strange one, really. I was always kind of grateful to just be involved in tattooing. I was just happy to be there. But a lot of tattooers that I met, they kept saying to me, "You're onto something good here. This is going to be a good business." You know, with the boom in tattooing that happened probably about the same time that David Beckham started getting them, and Miami Ink, TV shows like that, they kind of propelled tattooing to this level that it had never been to before.
Okay.
So yeah, it was probably around about that time when people were constantly reaffirming this to me that I thought, maybe this will become something one day. This will become more than just getting by.
So it is really interesting. So David Beckham is quite iconic when it comes to tattoos, isn't he? Because he's
Yeah.
sort of the first. I maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but to me, as someone who grew up in the 90s and 2000s, he was kind of like this iconic person with a really high profile, and was I suppose my parents' perspective of tattoos was something different to what mine were because of who David Beckham was, and then it became really, really popular, didn't it?
Yeah.
And is that something that you recognised within the industry? Is that something
Oh,
that we
yeah.
saw?
I mean, I think he had something like wings and a cross on the back of his neck, and that's paid a lot of bills in tattooing, that tattoo, you know.
Right. Okay.
And maybe a lot of people, that was their first tattoo, and that was their introduction to tattooing in kind of like a mainstream format. And then you've got movies like, is it Dust Till Dawn as well? I think George
Yeah.
Clooney has like the big tribal tattoo up his neck and on
Yeah.
his
Okay.
hand.
Yeah. Okay.
And again, that was one that came through the door quite a lot. So I think when people started seeing it more in popular culture,
Yeah.
the industry grew and grew because people that didn't have tattoos maybe looked at it like, oh, that's something I can have.
Sure.
And it was also that the move from traditional tattoo studios were very flash based. So by flash, I mean kind of pictures you'd pick off a wall. Things
Okay.
were set price and you'd just go in and go, that one.
Yeah.
Whereas tattooing moved to a more custom thing where people could bring in pictures from Google, from magazines that they'd seen,
Sure.
and artists were starting to take the precedent at that point. Everyone kind of expected it to be a bit more, custom and for them, you know?
Got you. And that's really interesting because one of my clients is a fantastic guy and got some beautiful he's got some beautiful sleeves, and he actually used AI to help generate. So he's Mexican heritage,
Mm-hmm.
so and used AI to help generate some of the imagery that's used on his hand arms even. Sorry, which I
Yeah,
think is fascinating.
we kind of like it and don't like it.
Okay.
It's a double-edged sword. I think if people expect the AI image to look like that when it's tattooed, that can be a bit of a far stretch.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I
Um,
see.
but if they're happy to say this is just where I want it, how I want it to look,
Sure.
I've seen some really good end products come out of that. You
Sure.
know, as long
Yeah.
as their realistic expectations are in place, that's the main key to any good tattoo, I think.
Excellent. Okay. Excellent. And so, obviously you've invested a huge amount, £250,000 in cutting edge technology when it comes to your tattoo removal. What does that level of commitment to excellence, is it passion? Is it reputation? Is it about client results? Or is it something more than that, something deeper?
It's probably a little bit of all of the above, to be honest. For a long time, for probably about 12 years, the only laser I used was worth about, say, 18 to 24,000 pound, which is still a lot of money, but in the tattoo removal world, that doesn't really go very far. And I really got some great results with that machine, but I did feel limited, such as removal of colors like blue and green and speed of treatments. It was much slower than what I use now. And just general results. I wanted to turn things around quicker. So I'll always remember kind of taking that plunge. And the second laser I bought was something called a Cynosure RevLite SI. I know they give them really sexy names, don't they? But
Really sexy.
really
I've
sexy.
seen that. I've seen that in your intro, and I'm like, okay, I'll need to make sure I check how that's pronounced when I do the
Yeah,
intro.
that's it. Yeah, and it's incredible. It's probably the best Q switched laser out there, which is an older family of lasers now. So moving from what I use to a laser like that, that's valued in at around about 70 to 80,000 pounds, depending on the spec, was a massive commitment. I'd never tied myself to something so, apart from my mortgage, and I'd never tied myself to something so scary and thinking I have to pay this every month.
Sure.
But it was exciting, and I actually feel like it kind of spurred me on to do
Sure.
more. I
Yeah.
feel like I had fallen into a bit of a loop of complacency, maybe,
Okay.
and just being comfortable, which at the time suited me fine. I wasn't slacking, I just wasn't progressing. I was sitting
Yeah.
very in the middle.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. And tell me, so interestingly, how many years in were you at that point that you felt like you were just sort of coasting?
12 years.
12 years in. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like the first bit, I think you're never really truly coasting, are you? You know,
No.
it's one of those things where even though I look at my social media now, and there was a
Mhm.
long period of time where I was working at that, and I
Mm,
probably wasn't getting it right,
sure.
but I was going through the motions, you know, and
Mhm.
trying things. And it's funny now, some people that see the stuff that I do now that maybe haven't known me for a long time will be like, "Oh, it looks great."
Mm,
And I'm like, I didn't just arrive there. It took time to kind of finesse that and work at it. And still get it wrong. We all get it wrong.
sure.
Um, but yeah, it's just one of those things, I guess. Yeah.
Okay. Um, One of the questions I wanted to ask, because it's really important to me for us to delve in deeper, is you've spoken about anxiety
Mm.
changing how you viewed your work. How did that experience reshape you as a leader and a business owner?
So um, I've spoke pretty openly about it to like friends, customers, family, all sorts. I'm not somebody to kind of keep stuff back, especially when I felt like I wasn't in a very good place. Um, And it was a real shock to me. It kind of came out of nowhere, and I found it pretty crippling at points, to be honest. It took me a long time to kind of learn to live with it. I don't think you ever get rid of it, but
Sure.
you learn to exist alongside it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Um, so it changed a lot for me, whereas it made me a lot more sympathetic to people.
Yeah.
Uh, I definitely pick up on people's emotions a lot more. I'm way more open to kind of experiencing those feelings with them. You know,
Sure.
what I do can be quite an intimate process for a lot of people. People go through all kinds of different reasons as to why they would have that tattoo and to why they would like it removed as well.
Of course.
So giving me that extra level of empathy and understanding,
Mm.
um, it's helped me a lot. And it's also, my business was probably the one thing that was consistent for me when I was going through that period of my life.
Okay.
And it gave me something to positively focus on.
Mm.
Um, I would sometimes go into work in not a very good frame of mind, and my customers would actually help kind of ground me a little bit, kind of fake it till you make it kind of scenario, I think, where I pretended to be normal and therefore I felt it.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
a couple of treatments go by and I'm like, oh, I'm actually in a good space. I've had a good laugh with somebody, and
Mm.
I always felt comfortable in my working environment, strangely.
Sure.
Just it was more like social and or big social events and things like that that would
Love
not
that.
be.
And there's a real learning there, isn't there, around I know for some people may be a real challenge to go into work, but when your passion and work is aligned with what you're doing, and then being able to lean into that to then be able to support you is really powerful.
Yeah,
It's really good.
there was a lot of positives in my life at that time, but
Sure.
that was the one thing that I just felt like this is all mine and I'm in control of this. And I had some great customers, you know, that were
Sure.
almost friends. Some of them are still friends now.
Sure. You
Um,
spend a lot of time one to one with your clients, I suppose.
yeah.
Out of interest, so I've no idea how long laser removal will take. So your hand, for example, on the face of your hand, how long would something like that take? How much time would you be spending with a customer for that?
So it's funny, it's not an exact science.
Okay.
Um, so everybody is different, but as a generalization, we'd say 10 treatments. I
Mm.
think my hands would probably take a little bit longer because they're pretty in there, as we would say. They're quite,
They're really like so. I don't know a lot about tattoos. Obviously, I've got a couple, but mine are just
yeah,
boring black, right? But the color on those are incredible.
yeah.
They really stand out.
Thank you. Yeah, this one's 15 years old now,
Wow.
and this one's a little bit younger than that, probably about 12 years old.
Okay.
But yeah, they color and things like that are going to be more difficult to remove. Sometimes yellow is completely irremovable.
Really? Right. Okay.
Yeah, and black is the easiest color to remove. So there's a lot of variables in tattoo removal, such as like the age, even location. We're
Okay.
relying a lot on like blood flow in the area to help
Okay.
break the pigment down. So areas like hands and feet are sometimes slower to react than other areas like your neck or your chest. They would be
Okay, that's
quicker.
interesting as well then.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so it's there's a lot more. Some people I think just think I turn on a laser and go, which I think my family sometimes probably feels like. To be fair,
Yeah.
we don't really go into the intricacies of it.
It's really interesting actually because I was I'd said that and you know I had no real preconception when we sort of first started speaking about coming on the podcast, and I was really stoked about it. But what really fascinated me was that my perception of laser removal was much more clinical, like you said, than the process that goes into the actual tattooing. So it was really surprised. I knew obviously total ignoramus that I am, but I didn't really realize that the two things would necessarily go hand in hand, if that makes sense. It's fascinating. And actually that, and realizing the emotional process of going, you know, I value this so much to want to ink it on myself, to
Mhm.
then the process to go, actually I can no longer bear this and I want to take it away for whatever reason that may be, and there must be dozens of reasons, but all of them are very human and emotionally grounded.
Yeah, definitely. They can't all be like that. Some people are as simple as I got this tribal in '98, and now I
Yeah,
want something else there that's not tribal from the
sure.
'90s
Yeah,
anymore.
yeah, sure.
But some of those stories, they really resonate with me, and they're kind of what you do the job for in a weird kind of way.
Sure.
Those standout moments where you feel like I feel like my industry is very much a luxury. It's
Sure.
not an essential to survival,
Sure.
tattoo removal.
Sure.
So for some people, I will be first on the chopping block if they've got to count the pennies a little bit more,
Sure. Yeah.
which is fair enough. But for some people, it is a necessity.
Yeah.
If I've got somebody that's recovering from breast cancer, they'll have radiotherapy dots tattooed.
Sure.
So they'll have a dot tattooed in between their chest here and either side
Okay.
here. And yeah, you have to laser to get them out. And that could be a painful reminder for somebody.
Sure. Wow. Wow. It, it's it's it, it's just fascinating really because it's almost the same as therapy. So one of the things I do with my clients, I'm a trained practitioner, is timeline therapy, right? So the process of timeline therapy is where I will work with someone unconsciously, not hypnosis, but unconsciously, to go back on their timeline process to process emotionally some of the things they're holding on to. Gestalt theory is a theory where um, as people, we thoughts become feelings, become actions. So when we're much younger, we will think certain things, they become feelings, and sometimes, often, they will become beliefs about ourselves. So our formative years as children really sort of shape the way we view our maps of the world. And timeline therapy is a really interesting process where the therapist doesn't actually I don't even find out what the traumatic event was, because it's a beautiful way that actually the person doesn't have to share that with you, that you just go through
Yeah.
a process with them where they go back and they deal with those emotions. And because it's timeline, it's really interesting because you get to separate the individual from the event that happened. And then what happens is all of the future things that are then linked to that event get let go through the process of going back down the timeline. But it's really interesting because there's a real link there between what you're doing from a sort of dealing with something that's potentially happened and letting go of it from a physical aspect. Yeah, really fascinating.
Yeah. I never really, before I did this job, I wouldn't have classed myself really as like a people person.
Okay,
I was probably had like a little bit of a working class chip on my shoulder, I'd
right,
say.
okay,
And I remember being 18 and my first customer, she was a nurse and a 50-year-old woman, round about that sort of mark. And I remember like an hour before my appointment just going, I don't even know what to talk to a 50-year-old woman that's not my mum or my auntie about. Like,
sure,
what conversation do I have? I'm 18-year-old lad, I've just got my pub license.
yeah,
um, how do I talk to this woman? And we sat down in the room and just the gates open and the conversation flows. And you can find mutual ground with everybody. I kind of make it my mission, I think, you know,
yeah,
to find out about people and learn about people because,
sure,
and I've said this for donkey's years, but I think everybody has something to tell you if you're prepared to listen.
Yeah, I love that.
you know?
I love that. And do you know what? One of the best pieces of advice I ever had was actually very similar to that, and that was that, everyone's got something interesting. Everyone's
Yeah,
got something interesting, and it's only your preconception of them or prejudice of them that may prevent you from listening in the first place. So it's lovely for you
absolutely.
to have been able to let go of that.
Yeah, I always say to people at the shop, you'll get people that have these weird and wonderful hobbies,
Sure.
and I'll kind of quiz them on it because I want to know more about it.
Hmm.
And I've been asked before, do you think that's a bit weird that they do that? And I'll go, no, if you're about it, just be about it. I
Yeah.
love that. The
Sure.
fact that you care enough to be that interested in that thing is
Sure.
just awesome. Like,
I love that.
yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Excellent. So you've met some fascinating people early in your career, from reformed addicts to pioneering female tattoo artists. What life lessons did they leave with you that still guide your leadership today?
Hmm. Yeah, that is a good one. Uh, Tattooing attracts a multitude of like colorful characters,
Sure.
especially in days gone by. It's a lot tamer than it was when I started. And even
Yeah.
then they were kind of the back end of
Sure.
the old era. But working with these people, they taught me so much. The guy that you were saying that was a recovering addict, he kind of really instilled my work ethic. And I remember thinking, well, if you can do this and turn your life around, and now I still speak to him regularly now, um, I can absolutely do it. And
Sure.
he also believed in me a lot.
Love that.
For somebody very senior to me in the trade I was working in tattooing at that point, um, he really respected everyone's opinion in the shop and would
Yeah.
come to us and ask us, what can I do to make the shop better?
Nice.
Which I hadn't really experienced up to that point. And that's something I basically model the way I run my shop around how he ran his.
Excellent.
Yeah, because he was, well, just ran it incredibly well. It was
Okay.
incredibly clean. He was very respectful of the people that worked for him and tried to make the environment the best it can be.
Sure.
I think with tattooing attracting so many colorful characters, sometimes the guy that ends up owning the studio isn't always the best fit.
Sure.
It can, I've seen it lead 100 different ways in my time.
Okay.
So I'm just trying to create a nice, stable, balanced environment that's like creatively fulfilling for the people that are in it.
Sure.
I'm not a tattooer. I'm not a very artistic person whatsoever, really.
Sure.
But I want to support their art, their creativeness, and I want
Sure.
them to be happy. And I want other tattooers to come in and be like, "This place is amazing."
Love that. Yeah, I love that. And that's, and that transcends what you're doing from a tattoo perspective into all types of different organizations, that sort of servant aspect of leadership where um it's so vital to ensure that you create a conducive environment for people, and create and recognize that creativity. So it's quite interesting how it sounds like people who get into doing tattooing, they are quite creative, artistic type, and it's an outlet for them to do that. And it's really important that someone who, as a leader or as a business owner, doesn't then stifle that through the business side of the activity.
To be honest, I did that.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
first year that we were open, I was probably so obsessed about the shop being as perfect as it could,
Hmm.
be as immaculate as it could. And me and my business partner, we did everything. We worked all day, and then when we started the next day, we would clean the toilet, take the bins out, mop the floors. We were doing everything.
Sure.
Because the shop was new, it couldn't afford a shop manager at the time. So we just got stuck in. And I just wanted I wanted everyone to be firing on all cylinders. I look back at that now and I realize that actually that's a high expectation for a group of different individuals all coming together in one place. And they're all self-employed. I don't employ any of them. They're free to kind of come and go as they want.
Sure.
And I actually, the business became more fun for me when I kind of let go a little bit and let it just tick and
Yeah.
gave
Sure.
people a bit more room to be creative and to do the things that they wanted to do and maybe just guide the direction of it every now and again.
Love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Real good steer. So it's interesting. You won't have read my book, but what you're saying there is certainly part of a framework that I created, my book, The Performance Trifecta. I talk about one of the key fundamentals is direction. So the role of the leader is just to steer the direction and set the expectations. And then other than setting expectations and having a really clear direction, the clearer you make the boundaries, the less managing you have to do, because everyone kind of understands the way they're heading, right?
100%, yeah.
And that then enables you to let go, like you say, which is certainly something that you've clearly learned over time, which is fantastic.
Yeah, honestly, that first year, I remember going home to my wife quite a few times and being like, I don't know if I can do this.
Sure.
You know, like, I don't know if like mentally I can do this. Like, it was quite a big strain to kind of wake up one day and like all of these people's livelihood depends on the business that you own. You know, they're feeding their kids off it, they're going on holiday off it, and they're surviving off it. And I think the pressure of that kind of compelled me to be a little bit more too hands-on.
Sure.
Yeah, whereas I'm much happier now. Everyone else is much happier now. I'm not running around causing chaos every day, demanding the best.
You make yourself sound like a tyrant.
Every now and again, it's in there, yeah.
Amazing. I'm concerned that your tea's going cold, young man.
Yeah, sorry.
No. Don't be sorry. I'm worried that I've not done enough talking to allow you to have a sip of tea. I don't want you to feel parched or anything. But I think hopefully the builder's tea's okay.
Delicious.
So Jordan's a builder's tea drinker, and I was amazed at how little milk you needed.
Same colour as David Dickinson is my general prerequisite. Yeah.
I love that. I don't think he's about anymore, is he? I don't know. David Dickinson.
Did he get cancelled or something?
Did he? Yeah, did he get cancelled?
I don't know.
God, yeah.
Seems like the sort.
Yeah.
Maybe don't put this out now.
It'll be fine. Let's not worry about it. So you describe loving the human aspect of your work. Can you share a story where a client's journey left a real lasting impact on you?
Yeah. The one, I actually still have her thank you card framed in my room. She was really we just had a really good connection. She had some tattoos that she'd done on her own arms when she was about 11 or 13.
Wow.
In foster care, or children's homes, you know, kind of between the two.
Yeah.
And she'd just scrawled, well, imagine if you'd given yourself a needle and ink at that age, it just would have been absolute nonsense, right?
Yeah.
And it was just all over her arms, both arms, lower parts. And she came to me on the recommendation from a tattoo studio, and she'd never had her arms out. She was 60 when she came to me.
Oh.
So anywhere she was going out and about, she'd have them out at home, but like to the supermarket, you know, she'd never show it off the tattoos because she hated them. So when she came to me, obviously people don't open up straight away. Not everyone does. Everyone's different, right? And took her a couple of treatments for me to get to know her. And I remember she told me on our second or third treatment, I went home and digested it. And I was like, I'm not going to take any more money off her. I just kind of want to do this. I really liked her. I thought she was just a really nice lady. And I was like, I get to have this positive impact on someone's life. And I'm already doing it, but I could make that even better. So when she next came in, I stopped charging her. And I'll always remember our last session. She came in and we had a big hug. And she gave me this letter in an envelope. And she said, read it when I'm gone. And she gave me a hug and I opened it. And I think I just cried in my room for a few minutes, to be fair, because I was like, it felt so, self-gratification, isn't it? But it's nice to have a bit of that. And I felt like I'd really changed someone's life and had a massive impact. And not every appointment, not every customer can be like that.
Sure.
And that's fine. But to go through that experience with somebody and how grateful she was.
Sure.
It was awesome. And she's somebody, I reached out to her last year. She's not been a customer of mine for about 7 or 8 years now. But I just checked in. I just wanted to see how she was and had a little FaceTime catch up with her.
I love that.
Yeah, so there's a few of those that have kind of resonated on, you know.
Yeah, I can imagine. And so is that it? Obviously, you wouldn't have a business if you just decided that you would do that for everybody, right? So how do you like? Is there any other sort of categories of work that you do where you don't charge? Hi, my name's Pete, and I want to thank you for tuning into today's podcast. I'm a coach, speaker, and author. And if you want to take your personal development that bit further, did you know that I offer a mastermind program as well as one-to-one coaching? If you're interested, please do reach out on peterushmer.com.
So I run something called the New Leaf Project, which is where I take 5 customers at a time, and I generally am looking for people with visible tattoos that have maybe just come out of prison. Radiotherapy dots are branched into this as well. This is all free treatments. Maybe people that have undergone domestic abuse and have been marked with certain tattoos, or I've had people before that have been involved in human trafficking. Some real heavy stuff, you know.
Sure.
The therapist is on speed dial.
Yeah.
But getting to help people, she was kind of what spurred that on for me, was being able to work with people one-to-one. And I know I'm quite good at handling people if they're going through a hard time. I've had quite a few years of practice now, and unbeknownst to me, it's kind of, I've grown alongside my business, you know.
Sure.
So yeah, it's called the New Leaf Project. We treat 5 people at a time. When I finish one, I take a new one on, and it's all free. It's all free. So yeah, it's nice to be able to, maybe they don't have, especially if they're coming out of prison, they might not have access to the funds.
Sure.
And my equipment it's expensive to own, but it's expensive to have treatments on it as well,
Sure.
you know? So that's my way of controlling it, but giving back to the community.
Love that. New Leaf Project.
New Leaf Project, yeah. You can
That's amazing.
enter in your information on the website and go through there.
I suppose there must be a huge waiting list of people.
There's a backlog. Yeah, and a couple of things that people came to me with were big. Sometimes radiotherapy dots are pretty easy to get out of there, so that they're not so long to turn around.
Sure.
But I've been removing those for free for about 10 years. I started that on Breast Cancer Awareness Month about 10 years ago, I think.
Wow, okay. Really generous. You're a very generous man.
Just feels good to do good.
Sure.
And if you put it out there, hopefully it will come back.
I'm a big advocate for that.
Yeah.
I'm a big advocate that you get back the energy you put into the world.
Yeah, and do you know what? I love the word energy.
Yeah.
I think that it's so true. And, you know, going alongside the anxiety thing, I kind of changed my approach to my work. And I just felt like putting that good out there brings good back in.
Sure.
And, well, it's not worked yet. So it seems to be doing good.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And interestingly, that wasn't intentional, but it's also one of the 3 elements of the performance trifecta is energy. So direction and energy are 2 of them. So yeah, I think energy is vital. Energy is really important, and it is. So energy, I'm a big advocate for. You know, if you live negative energy, if that's what comes off you, then that's literally the reflection you get. Everything's a reflection of what you give out. So the more you give, the more you support other people, the more positive energy you get back. And I love that.
100% agree. Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
I love that. Okay, so your philosophy, this leads on really well to this question. So your philosophy seems to be about perspective and throwing yourself in. How do you keep that mindset strong, especially when things get hard? And that must be some of the things we're talking about there. It must get hard, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've always been quite an empathetic person, even before I knew I was. And actually hearing, you know, I'd have days where customers would come in and they'd tell you what's going on in their family, or, you know, kind of offloading. And I would take that home with me and kind of hold on to that, you know. I've kind of learnt not to do that now, to kind of digest it there and then, but it doesn't serve anyone to take it with me. You know, it's not good for my wife. It's not good for me or anyone, you know, it's not benefiting the person that's told me either.
No, this is true.
So nobody wins there.
Yeah.
So the days where it's been hard, the people that bring me out of it are the customers.
Yeah.
You know, they're the people that make it worthwhile. They've sometimes been the people to make me think, do I just learn a trade at this point and sell my business and run away? But they 90%, 99% of the time, they are the people that actually can really brighten your day.
Right.
And that kind of makes it all worth it. And that element has never changed.
Sure.
From the time I was doing one appointment every few days to the time that I'm now treating a minimum of 6 to 8 people a day. Wow. That's never changed. The people don't change. They're still good and interesting, and they make the other stresses around the job worth it.
Sure.
But yeah, it's always for me, the job seems like a positive thing.
Yeah, I love that. 6 to 8 people a day. It's a busy job.
Yeah, well, I've done 24 in a day before.
Oh wow.
Yeah, which I'll never go back to. I've actually slowed down. My colleague that works with me, he's quite fresh and he likes to get a lot of people in. I
Yeah.
think he's just running through that momentum, enjoying that.
Sure. Yeah.
But for me, I like to spend the time with my customer.
Sure.
So even if it's like teeny weeny, I'll take that hour to
Yeah.
make him a cup of tea, have a chat, you
course.
know,
Yeah.
and just have a bit of a laugh.
Of course.
And I'm probably running late for my next one because I
Yeah.
enjoy the sound of my own voice a bit too much sometimes, and we overrun. But that's how I want to work, you know, like that's where I find the happiness is those 6 people a day. Like
Sure. Yeah.
it's just a real nice pacing.
Yeah, okay. And that obviously allows you enough from a business perspective, that is enough to then be able to pay back your investments and all of those kinds of things. So
100%. Yeah.
yeah, fantastic. Fantastic. Okay, so you've spotted some big shifts in licensing and cheap equipment in the tattoo removal industry. How do you see these changes shaping the future of your business and the industry as a whole?
So the industry and the future of tattoo removal is kind of a bit up in the air at the moment, I think. I think new licensing will come in. You know, at the moment, I'm completely unlicensed.
Oh, okay.
Everyone in the UK that does my job is. So there's licensing for other cosmetic procedures, but just not for laser tattoo removal at the moment.
Okay.
So that basically means when they come round and they certified the studio that it was a safe place to operate from, he saw my room, the guy that was doing the paperwork, and said, "What do you do?" And I said, "Tattoo removal." And he just walked off. He said, "I basically couldn't do anything if you were doing it with no goggles on and upside down, you know." So
Right, okay.
carry on as you were. So, but I do think that's going to change. I think the first bit of legislation is going to be changed in Scotland next year,
Okay.
but we're not sure if it includes tattoo removal just yet. And that's a positive and a negative. For people like me, who I've trained through the companies that supply me,
Mhm.
and I work really closely with them still, but I don't have other certain like cosmetic qualifications.
Okay.
It could be a real hindrance, you know, even though I own the lasers that I do with the
Yeah.
experience that I do, and there's
Sure.
not much negative that I've put out there, you know.
Mhm.
They could still say, "Oh, you're not equipped enough to do your job now."
Yeah. Okay.
Whereas somebody that's got, you know, a cheap manufactured Chinese laser for a couple of grand off eBay
Yeah.
can, but as long as they have the right qualification, they can still do their job.
Yeah, of course.
So I'm hoping they put this down to like local councils and
Sure.
the discretion of,
Yeah.
you know,
yeah,
if you're
sure.
an established business and they look at
Yeah.
the equipment that you use.
As well as the feedback and results, right?
Yeah,
Because actually, like, surely it's about feedback and results.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
That should have a big impact on it, not just a bit of paper that you've got in front of you.
Yeah, it must do. And the only thing I can liken it to, interestingly, in the industry I'm in, we do a lot with workshops and garages. And interestingly, there was a lot more guidance come into place recently from the regulator around qualifications for guys who work in the workshop. I know it's really random compared to what you do, but it was very interesting how there's a lot of people in the industry who have been who are time served.
Mm-hmm.
We use the term time served,
I like that.
and they're time served. They have come up through the ranks, having been trained through other people, through manufacturers. Like, you know, there's some similarities there, and they've been doing it years and years and years, and are very competent. It's very interesting how they went about that. Was rather than saying you must go back to college and get this NVQ or whatever it may be,
Mm-hmm.
what they did was they just they said, right, moving forward, we're going to just have like a couple of hour assessment of people, and if they demonstrate competence within the couple of hours, there'll be a framework of what the competences are, and as long as they demonstrate competence across against the framework, 5-year license to carry on. So it didn't matter the guys who didn't have any qualifications, for example. They literally just put in a framework and said, right, this is what competence looks like, and then they get someone independent, tick 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 tick, yeah, competent, off you go.
Yeah.
It's quite cool, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's quite a
that's
good way of doing stuff without
definitely.
sending someone who's really experienced back to having to invest in education unnecessarily.
This is the thing, yeah, especially if it's just not necessary. But yeah, there's always been a big influx of like cheap, very cheap equipment in what I do,
Sure.
which can be very dangerous.
Mhm.
And a lot of these companies, they offer the bare minimum in training as well.
Yeah.
So I feel quite bad for people because they'll invest in this, and I've seen it, and then they get inadequate training, and the company that supplies the equipment then ceases to exist within 6 months.
Sure.
So they've got no support network, and they're abandoned during their career adolescence, basically. And all kinds of mistakes happen. The equipment fails, and they've still spent sometimes up to £11,000 on something.
Yeah, which could be someone's life savings, right?
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And they thought this was a good jumping in point. But yeah, it can sometimes be quite hard to sift through what's
good and isn't. Yeah.
What's legitimate. Yeah, exactly.
I love that. Okay, so and that moves us nicely on to the next question. So as a leader, how do you future-proof not just your business, but also yourself, your skills, mindset, resilience?
Well, me and a couple of friends have talked about starting up almost like, not a union for lack of a better word, but a collective of laser operators.
Okay.
Because tattooing as well is very unregulated. It does have licensing, but they're not very interested in it. And the last people we want having an opinion on what any of us do is the government that have no experience with it.
Sure.
So there should be a body of people, I think, that has an experience within that trade that can help pass on information. So me and a couple of friends have been talking about it would be good to just have like a defensive front for when this stuff comes, and we can fire back, legally, saying actually what you expect isn't really ever commonplace.
Sure.
Especially if they're building legislation from the ground up, it's probably going to be a bit murky in places, I think.
Absolutely, yeah. And there'll be holes in it for sure.
Yeah. So my future proofing came at the start of the year as well, investing in a Pico laser. Okay. So Pico lasers are the big new fun word in tattoo removal. They've been around for about 15 years, which is new in tattoo removal.
Right, okay.
The technology moves very slowly. Yeah. We're not curing cancer here or anything, so it takes a little while to be refined. But yeah, that was my big investment. It's quite scary to jump into that only a couple of years after investing into the other laser. But one of my best friends, I trained him to do what I do. I've known him for about 15 years, maybe 20 years now. Yeah, okay. Scary how long we've tolerated each other.
You don't look old enough, I have to say, Jordan.
I'll take that. Yeah. And that's where it ends.
Yeah, you must be timeless, like Peter Pan or something.
I'll take that. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Jordan, the Peter Pan of tattoo. Sorry, you were saying about your friend 20 years and
so he lived in Oz for 6 years. I sort of begged him for the last year of his time there to move home and train him, and I put him onto the older laser and I'm using the newer laser, and we expanded the studio and created some new treatment spaces. That was my future proofing. I think with the two lasers that we offer, one, there's nothing like that in East Anglia. Full stop.
Wow.
You might have one, but you won't have the other.
Sure.
And they both have limitations. Maybe not the Pico so much, but the RevLite definitely. So to have that all in one place, and I've just added another cosmetic treatment that aligns really well with tattoo removal and supports it and makes my job easier, which is always great. That's what we want.
Yeah.
And I want the studio and the clinical space to become one of the most well-equipped tattoo removal places in the UK. That's my goal. But I'm doing it customer first. I think there's a saying, something that's like, if it's not good for the bee, it's not good for the hive. Nice, right? Yeah. And I think that's 100% true. Like if you progress your business at the expense of your customers, if you're just thinking about finances and things like this, or yourself, then they will get upset with that eventually, right? Yeah. So every decision I make, I try and be like, how beneficial is this, to the consumer,
to the end user? Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. That's really important, and it goes back to the kind of human aspect of the job, right? Like I said, that's the one consistent of it. So don't upset those people.
Yeah. Real people centric perspective.
Yeah.
And what you said about having like a collective of other people doing a similar thing, I think that's really powerful, particularly if you're looking down, potentially having battles in the future. I think that's really worthwhile, being ready, prepared, and being the experts as well, because what will eventually happen is they'll go, what should we do? They'll ask you for your opinion, and then you're ready, right?
That's what we'd like, because there is certain things. There's a lot of cowboys out there, like there is in every trade.
Sure.
People that just aren't really that interested in it and just want to make a quick couple of quid. And they can cause a lot of awful scarring, loss of pigment to the area, keloid scarring. They can be really...
It sounds really frightening because I just hear the word laser.
Yeah.
I hear laser and go, that sounds scary.
Yeah. Yeah, it can be. Yeah. I mean, my lasers are incredibly safe.
Yeah, sure. I didn't mean it in that sense.
No,
I
it's
just meant
fine.
like you definitely want someone with like some social proof, like
Yeah.
you know, the feedback, the years of experience. You know, do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, definitely. But I think not everybody thinks like us. And some people do just, I've got customers that have just walked in off the street. I mean, I don't advertise outside of the tattoo studio because I don't really offer walk-in services.
okay,
I like to have allotted time to talk to people. I don't want to be rushing between appointments. I don't want the customer to feel rushed. I don't want my cup of tea to go cold. You know, like all of these kind of things. I
is your
like to
tea
be,
cold?
probably, but I'm a savage. I will still drink it.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, so I don't really advertise outside of the studio. I like there to be allotted time slots for that kind of thing. I've completely lost my train of thought now. I mentioned the cup of tea.
No, it's okay. So I'm feeling guilty because you've been chatting away and been amazing, and I've probably not covered you enough so that you could have enough time for a drink of your tea.
I'm absolutely fine, mate. I'm having a great time. Yeah.
I am pleased. I am pleased. So you've said whatever you do. So this was really interesting when we were prepping. It has to consume you. Really interesting. So it has to consume you, but you can still make it fun. What does that balance look like in the daily life, which is what we're touching on now? And how can others apply that to their own work? I find it really interesting because I know I'm really guilty that I just run from one thing to the next thing to the next thing all the time and really feel the time pressure. And I actually really admire the way you're talking about the way you've created space and making time for people. So how do I learn this? How can I apply this to my work?
How do I learn this?
Yeah,
I don't know.
well, how
I give
did
it the
you
big
learn
one,
it?
but
Yeah,
I don't know
how did
how
you learn it?
efficient I actually am at executing. But
Okay.
I don't know. I think it's just the way I approach things, to be fair. I'm definitely a lot better with my time now and constructing good environments.
Okay.
You know, I'm a lot more aware of if I'm stressed,
Mhm.
I can take an hour for myself. If I'm working, like today is technically a day off for me, but I will do admin today. There will be other stuff to do.
Sure.
So if I can get ahead of that stuff, great. So it's more just if I can carve out an hour to 2 hours a day where I'm getting to kind of have a bit more chilled time, whether it's in the morning, gym, evening, whatever, then I'm pretty happy.
Sure.
And occasionally I'll set aside a day here and there.
Mhm.
But I do think that it sounds like you're already doing it. Like you have to let it consume you a little bit.
Mhm.
If you want to, and I want to be successful for my own right, but also because I want to offer the best service I can.
Sure.
It's, you know, a two-way street. If the customer doesn't win, I don't win. And I would rather, you know, not be rocking around in a Lamborghini with a subpar piece of equipment that people are paying me thousands for a treatment for example, you know. I want everybody to benefit from it.
Sure.
But yeah, that it's so important. It took me a long time to learn that, to kind of actually fully throw myself in. And I think it was in the midst of the anxiety and stuff that it became like a safe spot for me to be in, was treating. And I thought, well, this is the time.
Mhm.
Let's go for this. Like, you know, I was in my early 30s at the time.
Mhm.
I thought, this is the time. No better time than now. You know, I've hopefully learned a lot from my 20s.
Mhm.
I mean, as much as we all learn from our 20s, right? I learned how much alcohol I can physically hold in my body in my 20s. But I learned a lot of life lessons as well.
Sure.
But I just think, for me personally, I've been better at executing them in my 30s than I was in my 20s. I probably didn't have the same direction or consistency.
Yeah.
Where I feel so much more like focused in now.
Yeah.
And yeah, consistent. It's a big word, right?
Yeah, consistent's really important.
Yeah.
I love that. And I think you are, you know, absolutely, you're right. I think with the maturity, certainly I hit a point. So I started the business in my early 30s, and it felt like the right time I'd wanted to always do it, but something had held me back, and I felt like the formative time had been like a learning process, a development process. And don't get me wrong, I've definitely, you know, to be and have grown the business, I've had to grow and develop myself
Yeah.
as well as part of that. So
And you grow alongside it,
yeah,
right? It
yeah,
shapes who
absolutely.
you are, I think. If it's something you enjoy and it's an extension of you, then it does kind of shape you. Like, you know, going back to me not really being a people person, tattoo removal has done this to me, you know?
I blame the removals.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I've got 5 quick fire questions. I didn't prep you, so please don't shoot me. But
Okay.
I've got 5 quick fire questions that I ask everyone
Yeah, go
towards
on.
the end of the podcast. They shouldn't be too taxing for you, I'm hoping. So, how do you develop yourself?
Good question. I love philosophy, and I feel like there's a lot to be taken. One of my favorites is probably the obvious, but it's Meditations by Marcus Aurelius.
Love that.
That book was so helpful to me, and just being able to connect with somebody from 2,000 years ago that still is moaning about getting out of bed, being the most powerful man in the Roman Empire was pretty impressive.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, I feel like take it all in, you know, like ingest as much as you can. I love people like Ryan Holiday and
Daily Stoics next to my bed every morning. First thing I do before I pick up my phone, read the Daily Stoic. I'm a big advocate. Every one of my coaching clients, I advocate for them getting the Daily Stoic.
Love that.
You know, it's like my favorite. I love that you said that you love philosophy as well.
Yeah, and I feel like, again, this was something that was kind of born out of me suffering with my mental well-being.
Sure.
The first year of it, I basically thought I need to cure this, which I think was like the wrong approach to it.
Yeah.
And I just tried so much stuff, you know, like the Wim Hof method.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I did 30 days of journaling.
Yeah.
Which I think was like a Deepak
Chopra. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, I love Deepak.
Yeah, I did that with one of my friends, like a group of us on WhatsApp, all did it and submitted it. It was during COVID. And still the stuff that I've took out of that, like meditation, I'm a big believer in that. I think some people kind of think it's a bit hooky, I think sometimes, but I'm like, it wouldn't have survived thousands of years if it was. We'd have just put that in the bin with like burning people at the stake and stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like it would have all died at the same time. So the fact that we're still doing it and a time of reflection, I generally, every few days, I roll out a Shakti mat.
Okay.
One of those little spiky mats.
Yeah.
And I'll put on like a little guided meditation and all of those gives you time to reflect on yourself.
Sure.
Maybe you've snapped at somebody that day when you could have handled a situation better. And instead of chewing yourself out about that, it's I'll make sure I apologize to that person tomorrow and take them aside for 2 minutes and, you know, connect with them properly. So yeah, there's a lot of the good stuff, although it probably didn't really help that much with my anxiety at the time.
Sure.
It's kind of been a bit habit forming. And I've now learned to lean on it for different things.
Sure.
So for personal growth and stuff, and I do think Audible's amazing, you know, go through books. If you haven't got time to read, you're probably on a commute, listen to it in your car.
Sure.
And even if you take one sentence from that book, if nothing else does it for you and just one thing comes out of it, then it was worth the time.
Love that. Oh, you've just hit on some of my favorite authors and favorite people. Yeah, I love Deepak, love Ryan.
Yeah.
Daily Stoic. That was my goal this year because last year I did it, and so I did the Daily Stoic last year, and I think it's actually just a good practice. Most people wake up, pick up their phone, and see you later, right? It's like off they go, lost in their phone.
Yeah.
But it was a real thing for me to wake up, make a coffee, read the Daily Stoic. So I read the Daily Stoic. I have in one hand the Daily Stoic, and I have my notebook next to it, and then I write down like what I've learned from that.
Yeah.
And then I pick my phone up after that. It's like I find it quite therapeutic. And then I also do the 5 F's of journaling, which I picked up, I think, from a Stephen Bartlett podcast.
Okay.
But yeah, the 5 F's of journaling. So what am I fearing? What is my future? Who do I need to forgive? What am I thankful for?
Yeah.
Well, it's an F, yeah. What am I thankful for?
Yeah.
So yeah, future, fearing, forgive, and how am I feeling? And so yeah, just the 5 F's, just a couple of sentences. I find it really like useful and
that's really good. See, I had no direction when I journaled, so sometimes I just sit down and write loads of naughty words about people, and
well, that's always very therapeutic as well.
Sometimes that helps, right?
Yeah. But yeah, the 5 F's just gives you a little bit of a steer, like just clocking into how you feel, you know, what's the future? So where is it I'm heading? Because that's really important to have that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, forgiveness. Forgiveness is a really good one because it just gives you that little moment of realization that you're probably holding on to something that you just got to let go of.
Oh yeah, I'm chronic
And
for
you
that.
just got to, you just got to forgive the person because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, definitely.
And generally speaking, they're not working. We always feel like people are working against us.
Yeah.
Really, they're just working for themselves.
Yeah.
And that's very different. It's very different.
Yeah,
So we just got to
absolutely,
forgive them for working for themselves because that's what we do. You know, we do it too. So
yeah.
okay, cool. So that was a great answer. A great answer to the first question.
It wasn't very quick fire.
It wasn't very quick fire, but it's all good. It's all good. It was a great question nonetheless. So 3 tips for success.
Going back to it, let it consume you.
Mm-hmm.
Apply yourself, but have fun with it.
Nice.
Do you know what I mean? Like if you're self-employed and you own your own business and you're bored, that's a you thing, in my opinion.
Yeah.
There's things that you can do, whether it's the job or things around the job, to make it fun and exciting and creative. And what would the third one be? I actually don't follow this advice, but I really would like to, which is go to bed earlier.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay. Like good sleep. Because when I get it, wow.
Yeah.
But
world's got to hold you back then.
Yeah, exactly.
I went to see my doctor. I went to see my doctor last week actually, and he goes, Peter, you have to be horizontal. I only get called Peter when I'm in trouble. Peter, you have to spend 8 hours a night horizontal, and I want it to be the same 8 hours every night. You need to be horizontal.
Consistency.
Yeah, and he said the sleep will sort itself out. That was what he said. So you set the time every day in bed, horizontal. He's quite a holistic type doctor.
I love that.
He's quite a holistic type doctor. It's really interesting. And I have high blood pressure, and so I take medication for that. And he's like, I really want you to not have to take medication for this. So he can prescribe the medication and stuff, but he really wants me to make lifestyle choices that are the right ones. And one of them is 8 hours. He said aim for 8 hours horizontal. So whether it's 9 till 5 or 10 till 6 or whatever it may be, 7 days a week, same 8 hours horizontal. The sleep will just sort itself out. And then he goes, I don't mind if you work 16 hours a day, but 8 hours a day you're horizontal.
I like that. That's a good doctor. You've got a good one there.
He's cool, isn't he?
Yeah,
he's a cool guy. Cool. The third one, advice for your younger self.
You could probably have partied a little bit harder because I survived. So I'd say I could have pushed it a bit harder. No, that's not it. It's I wish I had probably applied myself a little bit more.
Okay.
But I don't think at that time I had the tools to do it.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like
Sure.
mentally. I wasn't there yet. I wasn't at that point where I was ready to be where I am now. So yeah, I'd probably go back and just be like a little bit less PlayStation, a little bit more work. Do you know what I mean? Like, come on, let's get into it. Let's really go for it. Because if I had the energy of 20-year-old me, people would be in trouble, I think.
Love that. Fourth question, what sacrifices have you made?
Oh, a lot. I mean, I don't know about you, and I am going to kind of throw this one back to you a little bit.
Yeah, okay.
I feel like every day I have to make a little sacrifice.
Sure.
Sometimes I'm not happy about that. Sometimes I make peace with it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I do, absolutely.
It could be that extra hour in front of the TV and I just go, I need to get this done. And if I get this done tomorrow, Jordan will thank me.
Yeah.
So maybe it's worth sacrificing that hour.
Yeah, I agree. And so throwing it back at me, it's so it's something that it's a very conscious question, and there's a reason I ask it. And I'm a big advocate when I speak to my clients and on the podcast, and some of the wisdom I try and share is that we are always making sacrifices. So every time we say yes to one thing, we're saying no to something else. So you're saying yes to the podcast, you're saying no to the time off you may have had today. That therefore is a sacrifice. So I think it's really important that we make mindful sacrifices. So it's about knowing the choice, and that then helps us make great choices, if that makes sense. So making sure that we're aligned with the choices we're making. You are right. We are then making sacrifices because if we're doing one thing, we can't be doing the other thing. And I'm sure there's hundreds of things you'd love to be doing all the time, whatever it may be, and you can't do all of it. Jimmy Carr, actually, I love Jimmy Carr. And one of his sayings in his books is, "You can have anything, not everything," which I absolutely fucking love it.
Yeah, that is
You
great.
can have
Yeah.
anything, not everything.
Yeah.
And like the society tries to tell us we can have everything, and actually you can't. There are sacrifices. You can't have it all. My belief is you can't have it all, but we can have anything. Anything we set our mind to, we can have.
This
We
kind
just
of
can't have it all.
ties into that a little bit. I'm still really close with my school friends. There's
Sure.
like 5 of us, and we don't get to see each other because we're kind of spread out everywhere, but we meet a couple of times a year. And we're talking over WhatsApp this weekend, and one of my friends kind of sends me a message or sends the group a message saying, I'm really struggling at the moment with the guilt around having downtime.
Okay, yeah.
And I said, dude, I've been there, you
Yeah.
know, but like you've got to carve that time out.
Mhm.
And you will be a better person if you do. You'll be a happier person.
Yeah.
You'll function better. Do you know what I mean? And
Sure.
he's got 2 young children and a really full-on job. And
Sure.
he's like, I'll sit down, and whether it's watching TV or playing video games or reading or whatever,
Mhm.
he's like, I feel bad about it because I know there's
Yeah.
other things I should be doing and could be doing that
Sure.
are productive.
Wow. Yeah.
But I think that's quite a common problem of people in our age bracket.
100%. So I literally posted. It's really funny you say it, because I posted about it 3 or 4 days ago. I wrote a post about how I just felt consistent guilt. There was I had no
Yeah.
ability to be happy. I went through a period. So I had a burnout period, and it was largely led by the negative emotion of guilt, around COVID time. And the burnout is and the guilt was huge. So I'd not long started the business. I was working really hard in the business, and I couldn't not feel guilty between, if I was at work, I was guilty I wasn't at home with the family. And if I was at home with the family, I was guilty that I wasn't working. And how on earth am I ever going to be happy?
Mhm.
And I think for me, I did a lot of work around the guilt. So I did timeline therapy to let go of that negative emotion of guilt. And largely speaking, I don't really feel guilt anymore, because I think the reframe for me was that I'm doing this now, and I'm just going to be really present in what I'm doing at this moment, which is a bit about that last question around the sacrifices, right?
Yeah.
So at the moment, I'm with the family, and I'm just going to be really present, and I'm just going to make sure that I work 8 hours tomorrow or 10 hours tomorrow. And when I'm at work tomorrow, I'm going to be really present at work and do my best during that period of time.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think but that's not me belittling that challenge, because that is a forever, that is like it's like you could spend your life battling that, because it's just a challenge, right? Because
Yeah,
it's
for
the
sure.
pressure of everything that you have to deal with all the time.
It just felt so refreshing to like hear it from somebody else and then
Yeah,
to
I
hear
love
it from
that.
yourself as
Yeah,
well.
I love that.
It's quite a like it doesn't seem like a big thing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like it's
Mhm.
almost, for me, it didn't feel like worth discussing with
Sure.
people.
Yeah.
It just felt like, oh, this is what I have to go through now. It's
Mhm.
probably just a me thing.
Sure.
But when somebody else voiced it, I was like,
Yeah.
I've struggled with that for a few years, especially like just taking that personal time. But
Sure.
it's so important.
And it is really interesting. It links back to the belief mechanisms that we have. So, for example, like we over time, thoughts, feelings, actions, beliefs. We are taught that work has to be hard. So,
Yeah.
therefore, unless we're working hard, we're not working. And there's a level of guilt there, right? So, if you're really enjoying your work, actually, what work's meant to be, there's like this programming around work's meant to be hard. Why am I enjoying it? It's got to be hard. And so we then find the challenges, because that's human nature. So, last question: discipline or motivation, which is more important to you?
Discipline.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually think that it kind of links back to the last one, is telling yourself sometimes, uh, I need to do that work. I
Hmm.
should do that work. And I kind of practice that as well at the moment by training early in the morning. I go to the gym at sometimes 5:30ish with a group of lads.
Love that. Yeah.
And yeah, we're all off to play golf together on Monday. I've never touched a golf club in my life, so this is gonna be horrific. But uh, having that level of like, get up, go, it's not meant to be comfortable. Some of
Sure.
the best things I think in your life will be through discomfort.
Yes.
And I feel like that's the same with me. Like my business, I actually really liked it when I was just kind of dancing around, doing a couple of treatments a day, and sometimes falling asleep on my bed, like on my treatment couch.
Yeah.
That was a great time.
Yeah.
Now I, don't have that time, and it can be intense. But I worked to get here, and it took discipline. It takes discipline to maintain it. I think motivation is probably the afterthought for me.
Okay. Yeah, I love that. Yeah,
I'm being analysed now. I've
no,
just said something
yeah,
terrible.
no. I'm not. I'm not analysing you at all. No, absolutely not. You absolutely no. So they're both really important, right? Or discipline and motivation are really important. But you are right. So I train early in the morning as well. And my little story this morning was I had to do. So I've set a goal. So I'm motivated. I've set a goal to try and run a half marathon in less than 2 hours, which for a lot of people who run regularly, easy. They're like, oh, that's no problem at all. This guy, not at all. I'm no Mo Farah. I done the Great Eastern last year in 2 hours 32. So if you that's like another 20% off that time, which is like, so yeah. So it's really hard work. And this morning, my running partner, he wasn't able to make it. He sets my training schedule and everything like that. And he could walk the Great Eastern in 2 hours. So it's really easy for him, but he's enjoying beasting me. But yeah, the discipline to get out this morning, I had to do this thing called pyramid sprint. So that's like, 30 seconds off, but so flat out 15 seconds, 30 seconds off, 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, 45 seconds on, and literally onwards, upwards to a minute, and then down to 45, 30, back up to 45, 60. So it ended up being like something like 34 laps of like flat out sprinting with just 30-second rest between them. And I nearly chundered.
Yeah,
I really nearly chundered. And if I was only working on motivation, I'd have stopped. It's the like, I'm not giving up here. Like, it's that bloody minded discipline of like, I'm a failure if I don't. If I stop here, I'm a failure.
Yeah.
And that's discipline, isn't it?
Do you know, that would be one of my points of advice as well, is go to the gym. Do you know, it's so important, I think, for me, mechanically throughout the day, whether it's mentally, mechanically, or physically, I feel better for it. I feel more alert. I work better. I sleep better at the end of the day. And I just run better. All in all, you know, and that was a big change for me. I don't think I could work the way I do now if I didn't make that time, that little hour in the morning to just go to the gym and just smash out a workout with a few lads that I know. It has a massive positive impact. And I wish I'd figured that out before I'd found the cigarettes and the beer. Do you know what I mean? At like 18, 19.
Yeah.
That would be to my younger self as well. Get the 6-pack now, because it's easier to maintain once you've got it than it is to get it back.
I definitely agree with that. Jordan, you've been an absolute pleasure. It's been an absolute pleasure to chat to you for the last hour or so. So I really, really appreciate you coming on.
Mate, cheers for having me. I've had a great time. Yeah, this has been awesome.
Yeah, it's been really great. And thank you for joining us on the podcast today. I'm really pleased Jordan came to join me. I've had a wonderful conversation. I hope you've enjoyed listening to. Please do make sure you subscribe and listen out for future episodes. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us on today's It's Not So Lonely at the Top podcast. We really hope you've enjoyed today's podcast. I'm absolutely delighted that you took the time to listen, and I really hope that you'll subscribe to ensure that you receive future episodes too. If you want to find out any more, please do search It's Not So Lonely at the Top podcast, and you'll find it on your favourite podcast app. Thank you.